So we're live at the A-Star Studios, eh?
Yes, indeed. Thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah. You know, Rafi was the first one to have me on a podcast when I just started out. And that gave me the drive and the motivation and the comfort to be able to start a podcast. It took me a couple months. When was it, like 6 months ago?
Must be a good half a year ago, yeah. A couple of months for sure.
I finally mustered up the courage and we did it. So
it's a lot of people that want to do these things, man. Especially after I've been doing my podcast for a good 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. I hear people all the time like, yeah, I should do content. Yeah, I should make a video, and nobody's done it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
one thing you should is like should know yourself.
Right. Yeah, it's a very typical thing because it looks very appealing when you see it.
Right.
Like with anything, when you're watching something, it looks easier than it is. And then when you actually get to doing it, you realize how much work it takes.
Yeah.
So and for everybody watching this, thank you for watching, and definitely go to Soothing Semantics on YouTube. You can find me on Spotify and everything else. I cover real estate and a wide array of topics, so definitely give it a watch. You'll see Mendy, or if you know him well, Mudu's episode that I did with him. It's a couple of months back. You can just type Soothing Semantics. Mendy.
I'm gonna put a link in the video so you guys can check it out.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, man. What questions you got for me?
Oh,
you're the host this time, so
no, it's just a conversation. That's what I like that.
Okay, I agree. It should be that way.
You know, just two guys in real estate. It's like 6 o'clock now. Finished our days and.
You cool if I work this?
Very
cool. Yeah, so it's an interesting market now. You know, I've been in the game for about 2.5 years, and I had some periods that were very heavy in sales. Definitely had good periods. Now it's been a little slower, at least for me. You know, I'm still a bit young in the game, so I'm just noticing a lot of price reductions. Buyers are a lot more confident now. They're taking more time. Homes are sitting on the market for several months now, anywhere 2 to 4 months, even more sometimes, where a year ago houses were going under contract in less than a day.
Right.
Way over market value, way over appraised value, and it's really, really wild to see the shift we've had. I still think South Florida is a very, very solid market. You're going to have people moving here. I think you're going to have people moving here indefinitely. But especially since COVID, people are moving here in droves.
Yeah, people are flocking to the free state of Florida.
Yeah, there's just so much opportunity, and opportunity's growing. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he has been living here for over 30 years, and he was talking about the crazy increase in the hospitality here. You know, so restaurants, nightlife, things of that nature have exploded since he was young. Fort Lauderdale, according to him, used to be the hotspot. That's where everybody went. There was no Brickell wasn't anything like it is now. Wynwood didn't exist, so Wynwood now is massive. You didn't have all these options, so everybody was packed into Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
What are you noticing?
I'm noticing that, firstly in the market, that people are buying them at market, at asking price. That's the cliff right now. People are not paying above asking price. They're not paying above market value. The appraisals are pretty much coming in consistent with the asking price and the contract prices. So I'm like, in the beginning, you have to pay like on the side, you know, separately in cash for the above asking price. Or be difficult to get approved because the asking price was way too high. Now, it was totally a seller's market. Sellers were there making demands, and whoever presents a bigger offer wins, or cash. Now it's turning more into a buyer's market, I think, and people are being more reasonable.
What's funny though, it's very true. What's funny though is that buyers are still waiting for that dip. And there's already been a dip, but they're waiting for this incredible
another
crash. Yeah, they're expecting some sort of crash to happen. And I don't know if that's gonna happen. I would say maybe in other states, but I don't. I mean, maybe if the economy collapses, and God forbid it doesn't, I don't think it will. There's still a lot of wealth. There's a lot of people coming here with money. There are people with investment money to put down. I mean,
Now is definitely the best time to buy.
because
I always tell people, when is now a good time? You know, it's now, because if you're gonna wait till the conditions are perfect doesn't exist.
100%.
It doesn't. And the huge jump we saw in the Florida pricing was not something out of the ordinary. It just caught up to the national average. And so I think it's only going to go up as Florida continues to be a free state, and people from oppressed states or less freer states and countries will always flock to Florida and continue to do so. So we're going to just see the pricing adjust for that, and it's good. It's still early. Now is a good time. You're still early if you get in now.
I think what's interesting is even if the prices go down significantly, it means there's going to be a lot more buyers on the market.
Yeah.
So if there are more buyers on the market, it's going to make things more challenging.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is there's always going to be some sort of a challenge, and you have to decide as a buyer or an investor what makes sense. So if you're an investor, the numbers always need to make sense. If you're a buyer buying for a primary home, what's important to you about moving, right? Because if you decide to wait, again, just to reiterate, if you decide to wait another 6 months and say that, you know, 600K house now goes down to 550, you're likely going to have a lot more buyers on the market fighting for that property. Whereas now, since everybody's waiting, now's a great time to get into it. And you can probably negotiate downward on that asking price. So what's important? Are you moving to be close to family? Are you relocating for work? Are you downsizing? Are you upsizing? Figure out what's important, what really matters. Obviously that you have the funds and you're ready to make the purchase. Much more so than, oh, let me wait for this dip, because the dip may never come. It may not.
And then you're a year, 2 or 10 years later, and you still haven't bought a year, paying someone else's mortgage.
100%. Yeah, it happens.
If I would have bought 10 years ago, I would have been a third of the way through my mortgage already. You know, even if the rates were higher, then who cares? I would have been a third of the way through my mortgage.
You can always refinance.
Always refinance. You marry the purchase price, but you date the rate. You know, as soon as the rate changes more in your favor, you can always refinance. You can't change the purchase price, but the rate changes all the time. That should not be a deciding factor. It's my ringtone until I make my first billion. Go ahead, Rafi.
Billions and billions. Yeah, I mean, so that's really the premise of it. So, you know, we definitely like to hear anyone in the comments who is looking to buy, looking to sell, what your thoughts are, if you have any agreements or disagreements. But, you know, overall, it's a pleasure and honor to be in a state like we're in. There's just, you know, there's incredible opportunity. And, you know, I mean, it's great to have somebody like Mendy on mortgage end. You know, it's really just, it's awesome.
A really great thing that we work hand in hand with agents is before a client goes to look for a house, they come to the broker, to myself, someone like myself, and we would do sort of like an underwriting the same way the bank would when we do our pre-approval. So when you go, you know exactly how much you can afford. So when you come to your agent, when you come to Rafi, he knows exactly what's possible and what the banks will approve you for. Some people will just do a roundabout calculation, more or less. What I do is I do a very thorough one. We go through the taxes, the insurance, the future taxes, because that changes in year 2, and I'll tell you more about that later. But also, we do a ratio calculator, and we run it through DU and LP, which is Fannie and Freddie's underwriters, their underwriting software. So that's what the banks look at when they look to approve you. They look at what those findings are going to be, and we will tell you those findings even before you go to look for a house, so you know definitely this is what the bank will take. And in addition to that, like, we also look at your credit, and I'm an expert in credit. I've been working with credit on mortgages for over 10 years now, and we've helped improve people's credit and give you credit education. So when you first come looking into your house, this is how I can improve my credit, because that's everything in your mortgage. That's going to determine your rate, it's going to determine your mortgage insurance, and it could save you a ton of money if you could improve your credit. It's good to have that education too.
Absolutely. You know what a good topic of conversation is? Things to do once the approval is in. So saying once you go under contract on a property and you're going through the appraisal process, the inspection period, it's important that you don't make certain purchases to
Take it away.
Huh?
Publish.
You take it on? Okay. So not to mess with that. I'll move in a little bit in the center. So not to mess with the process. For instance, if you want to buy that nice Mercedes, it probably is not in your best interest to do that until you actually have the loan approved, until the house is taken care of, and so this way you can actually get the home you're looking for, not run into any problems. Because getting a house under contract in and of itself can be a difficult challenge. Luckily now, in this time period, it's much easier to do it than it was a year ago. Rafi, nice to meet you.
Yoshi.
Nice to meet you. Right, so basically what I was telling
We'll cut out his monologue later. Editing.
Yeah, it was pretty much just not to buy that Mercedes during the loan approval process.
That's what I
As he did.
Like 3 of them. But it's very challenging. When you are applying for a mortgage, do not apply for any other credit whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely.
When the thought enters your head, don't apply
Mhm.
till after you close.
Yep, ran into that once before, and it was not a fun experience. So definitely try to hold off, try to control yourself. You can buy them.
Yeah, your home purchase is the most important investment that you'll ever make. You'll have other investments. You'll buy a second home and a third home and a fourth home, God willing. But the first one that you're buying for your family, that's going to change you as a human being, as a man. It's going to give you that the breadth of thinking your own space to call home, to build yourself up, and you take charge of your life, take responsibility for your family, and build a beautiful home for yourself. It's a big step, and there's a lot of fears that come into play when you what if this, what if that, what if you don't close, what if I can't pay the mortgage? You just gotta have faith.
100%, 100%. Yeah, so I'm just trying to think of some other good schmoozes. In terms of people looking to move here from, say, New York, that's a very common thing, especially since we're both Hebes. We're both part of the Jewish tribe. I would make some funny jokes, but I'm just assuming this is a moral kosher podcast. Anyhow, when it comes to people moving from New York, for example, if you have any questions in terms of where to live, which neighborhoods would work, especially if you're Orthodox, that would be something you can definitely reach out to either of us for, because this is a very common concern.
Yeah. What I would recommend is just spend a Shabbos in different areas and see what you feel like. That's when you get a real feel for community.
Sure.
Is when you spend Shabbos there.
That is a very good idea. Yeah, we can I'll just list some right now. If you're Chabad, it's a lot easier because there are a lot of Chabad neighborhoods. If you
There's micro communities,
Right.
20 families here, 30 families there.
there's a ton of those, so that makes it a little easier. If you're not Chabad and you want to live near people that are, say, Black Hatters, specifically North Miami Beach, parts of Miami Beach, even parts of Aventura, Hollywood, those are all parts that would work well. Even parts of Boca. If you are more traditional or more of the Israeli traditional kind, Aventura is great, Hollywood's great. I would say
There's
those are
also
probably
there's a
the
new
best ones.
summer community coming up in Okeechobee. They're building a development there. Amazing houses, like $300,000 houses.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's really nice.
Even Orlando is becoming
Yeah.
more popular.
Oh,
Tampa.
yeah.
But a lot of the time, the thing is with Jewish communities, people come from Jewish communities, say in New York or New Jersey,
Right.
they want to move into a place that's already very well established. It's got a couple of thousand families, it's got all the shuls, it has all the
Well,
restaurants.
you can get that in New York.
Yeah, but they want the weather and they want a little bit more space for a little bit less money. I get it. But if if you're willing to kind of be the pioneer of the neighborhood, so to speak,
Yeah.
you move into a neighborhood that maybe has 50 families or 20 families.
But when I moved into my neighborhood, I was like family number 20.
Right, that's smart.
Well, and a year later, we're 40 families.
That's smart, and it's going to get to 100 soon. The best part is you
And
get
my value, I bought my house at 444,000 2 years ago, and now it's valued at 700,000 plus.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, once more people move in, the price is going to go up significantly. You're also you're going to have so much more infrastructure built. You live in Coconut Cay, right?
Yeah.
So you're already in a solid area.
Yeah, it's close to the school.
Right.
It's within driving distance to work. We're here in Hollywood. It's 17 minutes for me to drive here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coconut Cay is a solid area. There's a lot of it's pretty affordable, and you have a lot of people moving there. It's good. Yeah, man. So any other topics?
Yeah. What do you feel like when people come to you to buy a house? What is their biggest fear that they have to overcome? The biggest challenge that they should be doing?
I think if we're talking, are we talking about Jews or non-Jews? Because it doesn't matter.
Anybody.
It's very different.
Anybody.
Okay. If we're talking about people in general, their main concern is the price. The price is just like the most important thing for everybody. They want to know that they're paying the right price for a property and they're not overpaying. So everyone wants a good deal. So that I think that's first and foremost. And then secondarily, they want to know that they are moving into a neighborhood that will actually work for them. So they want to be near their job, or they want to be near their kids' schools. They want to have enough entertainment around. Typically, they just want to have what they need relatively close to them. When it comes to Jews, though, it is different, especially if they're religious, because then the pool of options are a lot smaller. They need to be in walking distance of a synagogue, which means to have the options for housing is you have a much smaller pool. So yeah, in general, I'd say price comes first, and then location and resources are secondary.
Yeah, I guess you get to choose. There's a ratio between like size, location, and price, and you just gotta find that.
Everybody wants all three.
Everyone wants all three. You can get a bit of all three.
Yeah, you also have to come to reality, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if you
Just decide what part of the pie that you want.
or just make more money.
Yeah. That's it. Don't let that hold you back. Just buy what you can afford right now. Buy it. It's yours. You're not paying someone else's mortgage. You're paying your own mortgage, whatever it is that you can afford now. When you make more money, I'm sure that will motivate you to make more money. And then when you do make more money, you'll either buy a bigger house or get an investment property, and you'll be able to change your circumstances down the line. You're not stuck to this forever. It's an investment that you can keep forever, but you're not. It's not a permanent decision that you're going to be in this house forever.
Right. Yeah, and just
you can always change your circumstances.
Couldn't agree more. And there's going to be an upward fluctuation. So with the real estate market, you're going to have your ups and downs. Overall, though, you're going to have an upward fluctuation. It's going to go up and down upwardly. So down the road, 5, 10, 15 years later, your home will go up in value.
Yeah, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I bought 10 years ago.
Right. But there's no need to regret. It's not going to do you any favors. Just take what we're saying and really apply it. It's important stuff.
Yeah, and in 10 years, you're going to be like, oh, yes, I'm a third way through my mortgage. Time to get another one.
Right. We'll be here for that beach house. We'll be happy to help you. Or I don't know if Tower 41 has any more units available. They might have to build a Tower 42.
Yeah. And like as an agent, like what do you feel like you help people through the most?
I think it's really just the realization. It's understanding where they sit on the market in terms of helping them come to reality, really. I think that's the most important part. Some people are very realistic from the get-go. They understand exactly where they are price-wise. They understand which houses fit, and they want to make a decision.
Right.
What's important is determining motivation. So what is important to you? How soon do you want to do it? So once we actually get to that, we can hopefully make somebody happy. They find the house and call it a day. Well, quite frankly, buyers can be very, very challenging sometimes. We're all here for it. Bring it on. But it's really getting to understand what is important to the prospective buyer is a big deal. A lot of agents will just take any potential client. They get excited when a buyer says, "Hey, haven't spoken to you in a while. This is Sam so and so. I want to buy a house." And they go and show 20 properties, but they haven't even sat down and discussed why they want it, where they want to be, how much they're willing to spend. Do they have a pre-approval? Maybe they don't even have a pre-approval. Maybe they can't get pre-approved right now and want to take this agent for a ride. And you're not doing either side a favor.
Yeah.
So
It's always great it's a must to be pre-approved before you look. So you have a realistic view of what market you're going into and what you can realistically do. And then the process becomes a lot easier, a lot smoother, a lot less bumpy. You can face any challenge that comes because you know these are the facts. So the first step, which is really important, is to establish the facts. I think
it's super important. The pre-approval also, I think a lot of people are concerned with the hard credit pulls. Like they want a soft pull. So
you could do a soft pull pre-approval. That's not a problem. If the soft pull, it's always good to do a soft pull first because you could see the same thing that you see on a hard pull, but you have time to make changes, to make upgrades and change and improve your credit before you do the hard pull. If you're looking to buy immediately, you do soft pull. There's sometimes things that you can change in 2-3 days, in a week. You can give yourself another 20-30 points, and then do a hard pull, run it through the underwriting software, and then you're good to go. But pretty much, getting approved from the bank is the easy part. The hard part is getting approved with you in your head.
that's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Getting you on board with the plan and getting your confidence level up there and getting ready to hit it come what may. Just accept the fact that you are buying a house now and it's happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of apprehension with that. People buying a property, there's nervousness. It's also, that's the job of a realtor too. Well, the mortgage guys have to do that too. We're partial therapists.
It's 90% of the job.
We're here to listen to all the problems. A good question a lot of people ask is, what is the benefit to going to a private bank, to working with somebody in the private financing versus going to Chase or Bank of America? What are the benefits?
There's a ton. It's like if you go to a restaurant, you can go to to a fast food place that has one basic option. That's what happens when you go to a bank that's in retail. If you're doing something important, you wouldn't want to do it retail. You want to have like a buffet of options of all the banks that are available on the market for you to choose which one best suits your situation. Look at the different offers, and you're in the driver's seat, and you get to choose who you want to do business with. As opposed to one option, you can have 35 options, and we'll help guide you through, the best one in your scenario. But like this, you have, and we have very strong relationships with these banks. Some of the largest in the country, some of the most innovative. You have the big guys, and you have the little guys that can adjust their guidelines to fit your scenario, and they will work hand in hand with us to get you approved. Where no other banks will be like, yeah, these are the rules. You follow them, you're in. Otherwise, you're out. There's no such thing here. You have your scenario. We can find the way that best fits your scenario. It's like a shidduch. It really is.
Right. Yeah. Also, a lot of the time with banks, with a traditional bank, the banker who's responsible for the mortgage. Is on salary, so he's not as incentivized to close the deal. So that's another big component. Yeah, man.
Thanks, Rafi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Pleasure.
To many more.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Really, thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna post his info and my info in the comment section in the description, as well as a link So you guys can check us out and reach out to us. Don't be afraid. Just reach out, ask a question. We're here to give you answers. All right. Yeah.